and welcome to Mission Possible, the podcast that explores and celebrates the stories of immigrant entrepreneurs in Australia. I am your host, Mr. G, and I am with a great guest directly from Newcastle, New South Wales. Her name is Desiree Bhullar, and she is the CEO and founder of Naked Digital, a successful local digital marketing agency helping small businesses grow online. Welcome to Mission Possible, Desiree. Can you please tell us a little bit more about about yourself and Naked Digital?
Thanks for having me, Felipe. I really appreciate the opportunity to come onto your podcast. My background is I am from Singapore originally, and I have moved to Australia almost 20 years ago now. So I think it's 18 years. And I've been in Newcastle for 11 years. I started Naked Digital in 2018. So this year in October, we just passed our 5-year mark. And we specialize in web design and development. So WordPress and Shopify websites, and we work exclusively with small businesses within Australia. That's pretty much
Amazing.
us in a nutshell.
And did you have a background in digital marketing or IT? What's your background? Did you study this, or did you learn by yourself?
I did web design when I had my first computer when I was maybe 14, 15. Back in the day, back in Singapore, it was my hobby. I never thought that it was going to be my career or, I never thought I could make money off it. I ended up studying hospitality and hotel management. So the reason why I moved to Australia 18 years ago was to get my degree, my fourth year, to complete my fourth year in Adelaide. And I graduated with a bachelor's degree in international hotel management. So I did the hotel thing. After I graduated, I moved to Darwin, worked in the hotels for a bit and realized I still had to start from the bottom anyway. So, and it was quite difficult to stay motivated in the hotels there because it was very much a backpacker. People moved through the department quite often. And I got out and moved into the university and worked in admin there and was given an opportunity to move to the marketing department. And that's when that was my very first role in marketing. And I helped with social media and CRM. And since then, because someone gave me an opportunity to transfer to their department, that's how it started. And since then, I have been in digital marketing. My next roles were digital marketing, and in 2018, for the small agency I was working in, my boss decided she wanted to close, and she told me that find a new job where you can buy the business. So I bought certain aspects of the business, but I basically rebranded everything, cut a lot of services out, and to offer things that I knew that I was good at. And yes, that was 5 years ago. And now over the years, we've slowly niched down into knowing that web design, we've come full circle from a hobby many, many years ago to now only offering web design as the main bread and butter of Naked Digital. So I
That's
would
great.
say I definitely learned on the job. I learned as a hobby, and it's just something that you got to get in there and keep doing it and keep up to date, because there's when you do degrees or diplomas on web design, it's going to get outdated quite easily. So it's just something you got to keep doing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. It's great that you had the opportunity to work with the university, because that was the first step through your career. Sometimes, in my opinion and in my experience, for international students or people, it's hard to get that first foot in the door. Many people, has to try different things. So it was great. I mean, coming from a hospitality background like myself, I did hospitality as well, as many other international students, as you probably know. And they realized that it's probably not the right environment, it's not the right culture, it's not the right fit for people, and they try to change, and it's really difficult to change careers once you are in a in when you selected something to study here. So that's great, great to hear. Um, do you think your cultural background influenced your business and its values, and how?
I do believe that a lot of my, I guess, to me, I do what needs to be done. I don't see any other way. So if something happens, I find a way to do it or overcome it. Um, and that I think that kind of comes from, I guess you would call it resilience, um, and just a hard working ethic. I think definitely that comes from being Asian. It's one of the reasons why I decided that I didn't want to live in Singapore because it's very harsh in a way.
Yeah,
You have to work 120% all the time if you want to get ahead. It's always about getting the best grades, getting the best job, the best in everything, especially coming from Singapore. It's number one in this, number one in that. And
yeah,
I knew I couldn't, I didn't want to live like that. And I didn't want to raise my kids like that. So, but looking back, it was definitely very good foundations for to be where I am today. And I think a lot of people don't have that privilege of being trained like that.
mm,
So I take the good out of it. I think, I do miss a lot of aspects about living in Singapore, just efficiency and effectiveness and things happen very quickly. But yes, it also, I think, comes at a cost where it is, you sacrifice a lot to be successful back in Singapore and back in other Asian countries, I feel. So it's a bit of a
yeah.
balance,
It's
and
amazing.
knowing that that really set me up for a better work culture, I think.
Yeah, interesting, because I'm coming from a completely different background, which is South America, which
Mm,
sometimes it's not. Well, in Chile, it's a little bit different, or used to be a little bit different when it was more goal oriented, and everyone was racing, especially from my background and where I'm coming from in Santiago. It's very competitive. It's probably a little bit like Singapore, and I rebel against that because I
mm,
didn't want to leave to pay the bills. Basically, I just wanted to
yeah.
be happy and make my family and my happy, make others happy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I relate to that. And sometimes you have to choose what is best for you, and forget about uh, the your social circle, which sometimes influence a lot of your decisions, as you probably know.
Oh, 100%. I think, not only being born and raised in Singapore, but and just coming from an Indian background as well, there's a lot of cultural obligations and expectations. And
Mm.
when you say you want to go and do your own thing, just the fact that I actually got accepted into studying law, which I did not want. And a few weeks before the school started, my acceptance for hospitality came in, and I said to my parents, I'm doing hospitality and not law. And my parents didn't speak to me for a few weeks. So
Oh,
it has been, like you said, rebel, but at the same time, it's breaking from the norm to make your own decisions, and also to know that you're responsible for your own life, but still not being ungrateful for all the opportunities that my parents gave me to obviously go overseas and study. Um, but it's something I think a lot of migrants would relate to. It's that juggle of making yourself happy, but also making sure you follow your obligations, or and not make your parents feel abandoned after they have
yeah,
invested so much in you.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
because there's a lot of sacrifice behind. We leave behind family, friends, home, and to pursue our own destiny. And sometimes that's what other or local or people in general don't understand, that migrants have a
Mm.
different journey here. We have an emotional uh, back how do you call it, baggage,
Yes.
that we're carrying sometimes, because it's not just about what we want to do. It's about other people, the culture that we leave behind, our social uh, um, our social uh, circle, or
Hmm.
circle of trust. Anyways, yeah, thank you for that. It's a very I feel really relate with that. Now, what challenges did you face as an immigrant entrepreneur in Australia, and how did you overcome them?
I feel like a lot of the challenges I faced were, and still, is mostly because of myself, like what we just talked about, and you know, just battling with our own self confidence, and also when you're alone, most of us, have left family behind. You don't really have those, I guess, support or fallback. You're on your own. So if this doesn't work, then there's a lot of things riding on it in terms of letting people down, or you went and did your own thing, but this isn't working, and oh, there's so much, you know, shame sometimes. But thankfully for
Mm,
me, it has been successful. So but it's just the internal battle of, I have so much riding on this, and I feel like a bit more than others, because if there's not much for me to turn back to, or turn around and drop everything and go home.
yeah.
To me, going home isn't really an option, just because I've already spent 18 years here. So my son was born here and has his life here. So um, I have to make it work. And if all else fails, there's always going back to working for someone else. But the drive for me is that um, I am working for myself. I make my own rules. I have a team that works with me. I work from home, and my own hours and all of those things far outweigh wanting to go work for someone else. So as I mentioned before, I do whatever it takes to make it work and make it successful,
Mm,
because the alternative is not appealing at all. Even when times are hard, I know that I've got it pretty good in this arrangement. So the faces,
yeah.
I think the problems I face, I feel, are very much internal battles with myself and my doubts, self doubts. Can I do it? I feel sometimes, especially when I first started out, I'm like, firstly, and this, a lot of people, whether they're migrants or not, will feel this. Why would people want to pay me for what I do, which I felt, I started as a hobby. So how can I take money for this, or how can I charge what I'm charging, or charge more? And things like, one of the biggest things for me in the beginning was my accent, because no matter how, in Australia, people ask me, where's your accent from? In Singapore, they say you don't sound Singaporean. So you feel like you don't fit anywhere. But to me, it's like, when I talk to someone and I have an accent, they doubt me already, and I feel like I have to work a bit harder to convince them that I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about. So over the years, because I work with, obviously, almost one to one with small businesses, but I do a lot of training and workshops as well. I teach them, and I I always get the nerves, like, oh, why are they going to learn from? Why would they want to learn from me? I'm just some foreigner um, with an accent, and sometimes I can see that when they hear me speak for the first time, there's a bit of a, taken aback. They didn't realize I sounded like that. But once they hear me speak, all of that dissipates, because they know, they listen intently, because I'm teaching them something they really want to learn. And that's how I sort of overcome those challenges. The more I do it, the more I speak to more people, reach out to them, teach them, work with them. The feedback is enough to keep me going, because yeah, it's as narcissistic as it is, when I get really when I face some really big challenges and doubt myself, I go and read through all the reviews, and it makes me feel better and reminds me that actually there are people who really appreciate what we do. um
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Mm,
feel
it's
like,
hard. It
sorry,
go ahead.
I said I don't feel like I've faced a lot of physical challenges in terms of being a migrant in the business community. I think it's more, um, there are some opportunities out there, and it's so multicultural at the moment that, people are more intrigued about where you're from and want to know more about you, as opposed to going, I'm not trusting that person.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Look, in general, people here is very accepting.
Mm,
Being a smallish town, people are really open. It's the challenge in my opinion. It's when you are competing with locals to get a job, for example. Then your accent it's gonna play sometimes against you. Well,
mm,
depending on your level of experience and knowledge, right? Like everywhere. Look, I do understand. It's just it's hard for me sometimes to fit in some environments because I know that my accent could play against me. But regardless, I try to ignore it and just go for it. But it's always in the back of your head, and it's true. It's true. It's your own mind sometimes
yeah,
playing
yeah.
against you.
Yeah,
Um,
for me, it's the
the
same pronunciation of the same word. So I'm saying the exact same word, but I pronounce it differently, and that might trigger someone because, oh, well, English is not your first language, but actually it is. That's what I grew up speaking. Um, and it's just a mental thing, and sometimes because I'm trying to pronounce it in the Australian way, um, I have to think before I speak, just so I
yeah,
pronounce it the right way. Because when I speak to my family, then I revert back to Singaporean or Singlish, and it's still English. It's just mixed with our own flair and the way of speaking. So
that's a great
um,
point.
yeah.
In my case, I'm coming from a Spanish speaking
Mm,
country, so Spanish was my native language, and I learned English, or I learned English pretty much here with an Australian accent, and it took me years, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning with my kids. Um, the fact is that here I think that the fact that I have to translate from Spanish to English at the beginning, it helped me to think twice what I was going to say.
mm,
In Spanish, I used to just say what I think. Um, and sometimes I made mistakes, like you do. You're immature, or impulsive sometimes, or you are angry, or you're over reacted for something. So here I learn how to think twice before I speak, and it helped me. It's a really good exercise for not native English speakers to start realizing what you are going to say, thinking before. But
mm.
by the way, your English is perfect, and I don't see
I hope
any.
so.
Yeah, no, your English is perfect. It's better than many Australians here, to be honest.
Well, as I said, this is it's our main language in Singapore. So, and we learn in English, and that's all I've spoken. And I know a couple of other languages, but my main language is English. It's just the accent that makes it sound like it's my second language.
Yeah, but it's great. Um,
Mm.
uh, Desiree, could you share some of the resources or support networks that you have been particularly helpful to you in growing your business?
Yeah, so I have spent a lot of time networking online. I'm not a very formal networking kind of person. I don't like the stand up and present for 3 minutes and, share your business cards type of networking. But I have been,
Yeah,
over the years, very present in Facebook groups. And because of the industry that I'm in, doing, digital marketing and websites, every small business owner has some kind of frustration with their website. So I've been able to build a reputation with responding to people's posts for help, or just contributing in those communities, so like small business communities or women in business communities on Facebook. And then offline, I also try and go to networking sessions, but the casual side. casual type of networking. So in Newcastle, there's something called Chatterbox, which a lot of creative people, but all walks of life. They're small business owners. They tend to work solo, and they meet up once a month for a coffee and have a chat. And it's good to get out the house. It's good to make connection. It's good to socialize for a while, and through socializing, you become, you start trusting people, and maybe when opportunities come up, you know who to sort of contact and maybe collaborate with them. So through attending some local events and networking sessions, I also started running co-working sessions in Newcastle. So people, again, the concept of getting out of the house once a month and working with each other, just bring your laptop to a selected venue, and we spend a day co-working. I've made collaborations from there as well. So for me, to get to where I am, I've definitely leaned on those and collaborated with others, knowing that I can't do everything myself. I don't know everything. But sometimes to work on a project, I might have to collaborate with someone else and to deliver a successful outcome. So definitely
Yeah,
both
nice.
online and offline. I've got some, I guess, groups and networks that I can reach out to, and just to know that collaboration for me is, and for us in small business, that is so powerful. And then that's where also the referrals come in. You work together, and you like how each other work. You can say, "Oh, this person, I can't help them now, but you should go to this other person, and they'll help you because I've seen their work." Um, yeah, I think that's really, really powerful.
Yeah, great. It's all about collaboration now, especially in our area, creative
Yeah,
arts and things like that. Now, do you work from home or you have an office?
I work from home.
Yeah, great. But you have a team, right?
Yes, so all of us work online remotely, and we
Yeah.
have communication tools. And some of us are in Newcastle, but most are all around Australia. So we just work usually around business hours. We can collaborate, but and communicate, but essentially everyone works at their own time.
Yeah, great. How do you
Mm.
promote your business?
How do I promote my business? I feel like a lot of my clients um, promote my business for me, and also my collaborators. So people I worked with in the past, they either send people my way, or they bring projects and we can collaborate together. I do a lot of workshops, so I run free workshops for New South Wales small business owners through a college, and I meet people that way. So I'm happy to teach people how to do the basics, to either build a website or do some marketing. And then some people come from there to say, I like what you taught me, but I don't want to do it myself. Can you do it for me?
Yeah.
So those are the main sources of work for me. I don't advertise, and but also, yeah, Facebook groups, because it's not only me commenting in posts, but past clients or collaborators might recommend us as well, and I can respond that way as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. Now, do you use WordPress for your websites?
We do use only two platforms, and that's WordPress and Shopify.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Because there's so many options, and it's hard sometimes to choose the right one for a client. Anyways, um, could you have you found any cultural differences you need to navigate when doing businesses here?
Oh, yes. Um, I am I am a Singaporean. So if you've been to Singapore, you know it's all about efficiency and getting things done. Put your head down and work hard. And working in Australia, it's like someone put the brakes on, and you can't expect things to be done very quickly. And and that's okay. It's just a different way of life, and the reason why I moved here. And also to I guess, it's not really island time, but it's just okay. things will work. Things will happen when people decide it will happen, and it's fine. I just have to be okay with that. So, um, knowing that it's not like a rat race, I'm still trying to, get used to it and be okay with that. But obviously, being a service provider, I need to make sure projects are done on time, in a timely fashion. So something that frustrates me is when we have project timelines, and no matter how strict or how much we check in and follow up with people, there's always that tendency or that I guess occurrence where people just go, I'm not moving as fast as you want us to, So we have to just try and manage that. And I think that's just project management in creative industries across the board. And I'm not saying this is like Australian people are like this. It's not, because we work with so many migrant people as well. It's we work with anyone in Australia. It's just a culture of things will happen when they decide they want to put some effort into it, and that's okay. So no matter how strict our processes are, we need to be a bit flexible in that regard. Another thing would be that, I think just overcoming my own self-doubts and obligations and baggage, as you called it before, and being, a bit confident. But to me, sometimes some people here in the community can see that as tall poppy syndrome. There's I don't know if you know what tall poppy syndrome is, but when
I
someone,
hear about it, but yeah.
yeah, sometimes when you feel like you want to celebrate your success or, a win in the business or personal life, there are going to be people that go, "Psh," they try and diminish the value of that, or find ways to say, well, it's not that great actually, or whatever, that's not,
Oh yeah. Oh
um
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I think sometimes there can be a bit of that, and I think it is a known thing in Australia that tall poppy syndrome is quite big. You can't go out and just boast about all your success and wins so openly. um but I think for
Mhm.
small business owners, it's so important to mark some milestones and go, actually, I have achieved this much in such a short time. So finding those right groups are really going to help with those support in the support networks that can celebrate with you and understand that it's really valuable in celebrating those small wins. Because if you go and celebrate out in the street, people are just going to go, she's crazy. So the support network is so important in that regard.
Yeah, okay. And when you mean support network is your collaborators?
Collaborators, I have some groups that are web designers as well. I've created some small chat groups. All of us are web designers. We work with different platforms and different types of projects. But that's our little one support network for me. So, and I can ask them questions. They ask each other questions about software or issues with clients or whatever, celebrating the wins, celebrating the bad times that we've overcome. So then I've got other support networks where they're just, maybe small business owners in general or women in business, lots of little pockets that, depending on what kind of support I need at the time, I can refer to.
Yeah, interesting. I have found that here in Newcastle, in Australia in general, there's a lot of different support networks, and sometimes it's hard to find the right one for you. It's like charities, you open a door and there's a charity, but which one is the right one? Or there's so many groups that sometimes I have attended to events and things like networking events, and sometimes I get lost with all the different names and different groups that they are there. So it's great, but sometimes it's a little bit confusing. I'm not sure if that's your experience as well.
My advice for you is, if you haven't found a group out there where you feel like you fit in, then you create your own. And that's what I've done for a few groups of mine. And you're
That's what
doing
I'm
that
doing.
with Mission Possible. finding that group
Yeah.
and building that, and also, not just building that community feeling, but you're also building your reputation in the community. So that's you're already on the path.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you. See, look, that's the aim, and I also want to help another people in the same path, that they want to do something, they want to contribute, they want to add value to the community, and they don't know how.
Mm.
I didn't know how, and I tried different things, and now I'm doing this, and I think that I wanna, and I think I'm in the right path. And I want people to join us and get inspired with people like yourself. So, Desiree, what advice would you give to other immigrants entrepreneurs looking to start or grow their business in Australia?
I think it's important to not see yourself as a migrant, or someone different. I think you should see yourself as, if you feel like you are skilled and you are the expert in what you do, when you start talking to someone, that's going to override uh, all the other, where you're from and how long have you been in Australia kind of questions, because then they're listening to you because of that work that you can provide them, or the solution you're providing for their problem. um, I
Hmm.
think, if you come into business with a mindset as you're already disadvantaged, and you have to work harder than people, then you're always going to be on that back foot, and having, even if it's true, but the mindset is so so important to work on, and know that as long as what you're saying and what you're doing is a positive impact, that people will listen to you no matter what. And I do this, and I still battle with that. I have quite bad imposter syndrome, and I can go into quite deep spirals. But I always come out of it, and I have my ways. Like I said, I'll read reviews that I've got, and talk to my support network, and they say, "Remember when you did that?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, it's so easy to dwell on those negative experiences or feelings, because it's easy, because that's what you feel comfortable with." But at the end of the day, if you're really good at what you do and you can talk to people about it so easily, and it rolls off your tongue, then it doesn't matter where you're from. People will listen to you and work with you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great advice. You look, I think that that's directly for me, because sometimes I get that, and I have that migrant mentality. It's hard for me because I'm very attached to my country, but I decided to stay here because I think this is the best decision for my family.
Mm.
Um, Not necessarily for myself, but for my family. And it's hard to get out of that migrant mentality, but I think that I'm not the only one. There's people as well that they're trying to get jobs and do something for the community, and they still feel that they are not uh, treated equally, you know.
Mm.
But it's a lot of mindset, as you said. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
mindset, and I'm trying to overcome that. So thank you for your advice. It really, I will take it into account for myself. Desiree, what role do you see technology and digital platforms playing in the future of your business?
So obviously my business is 100% digital. It's completely online. It's very rare that I actually go and see people in person, because we just work online. We're building websites. I'm teaching websites and marketing. So the to us, I think there's a lot of talk in the air about AI and artificial intelligence, and chat GPT and all these new tools that can help people. And some people see it as a threat, but I think that we've been through these things before, where for example, platforms like Wix and Squarespace have come out, and uh, people felt, oh, that's a threat to us because no one's going to want to hire a web designer or web developer anymore because they can go and build their own website. Well, that firstly, there are people who will just not want to invest any time other than what they need to do in their own business to sell or to work. They don't want to be doing their bookkeeping. They don't want to be doing the website or any marketing. So there's always going to be a group of people who will be happy to outsource. The next thing is that even though you have those tools that help you to DIY, it doesn't mean that, yes, you can build your website in one day, but it looks like, yes, when I look at a website that has been built in one day, it does look like a website that's been built in one day. So you can have
Mm.
that, or you can invest and you can have a website that is powerful, that's, Google likes it, and people that come onto the website actually buy from you or submit a form and call you. um, it's really how you prompt, and how you use those tools. So if someone has access to those tools but don't know how to use them, then there's always going to be a place for us. So I don't see it as a threat. I think my biggest types of clients is actually the types of projects that we have are redesigns. So people who have gone the DIY route, and maybe they get frustrated because they can't actually get it to work the way they want it to work, or they started out with what they had, which is fine. And 1 or 2 years into the business, they're ready to reinvest and know, because they've been through it once before, they're ready to pay someone else to do it. So that's kind of my clientele. And I feel like, things like ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT. It's so good for prompting ideas, and maybe like I have thoughts in my head. How do I put this in a better format, or how do I word this a bit differently? I think it's a very good starting point for prompting and generating ideas and putting your thoughts into a format. Um, but I would never use the first output that ChatGPT gives me. I'm always prompting it. So that's a skill on its own. So anyone can use ChatGPT, but now I can actually spot content that has been generated from ChatGPT. I can go, that's AI. And over time, you know, they can either learn to how to use AI, or they're just going to go, you know what, I don't have time to fiddle with this anymore. So yeah, it's just interesting how that's been developing so fast in the last few months, actually, or maybe a year or so. But AI was always there, and they just didn't know about these tools, and now it's so up in the, in your face about using these tools.
That's right. That's right. Look,
Mm,
I did a digital marketing course last year on RMIT online. It's already uh, very outdated.
mm,
It's going so fast. And
yes.
I've been learning, new AI tools, and there's plenty. So it's overwhelming. So I feel that
Mm,
I'm already a little bit late on digital marketing, but it's a matter of, putting um, a lot of effort into finding the right tools for different, for what you want. So yeah, AI, it's a big thing. I think there's um, an event in the Hunter If. I'm not sure if you are aware of that.
mm,
Hunter If, it's an organization that basically help businesses to connect and network, and there's um, an event on artificial intelligence soon. So, look, thank you so much. I think that has been a great interview. Thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy business owner. I hope this interview help other business owners in the region and in Australia. Um, and yeah, wishing you all the best. I hope we can meet at some stage in one of these events, and have a chat, and I'm wishing you all the luck, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Felipe. And my door is always open for anyone who wants to pick my brain, about the industry, or just networking and stuff. But I really appreciate the opportunity. And yes, I do hope to meet you as well.